Yeah, did you watch the episode when Tulsi Gabbard got on to defend herself and Joy Behar starts panicking and going over her notes while Tulsi is refuting everything that she said?
Yeah, I mean, Joy Behar, like, again, these people have dementia. These are people who, like, should not be allowed out of the house. They have a national platform. I mean, it is crazy. They have no idea. These people have never read, like, a book.
I agree with mostly everything that's been said. I mean, we know that, only about 31% of Americans trust our healthcare system. We have a terrible healthcare system. And, doctors suffer because of big corporations as well. Doctors that want to do good, like my husband, operates on someone even though they don't have insurance and then has to sue health insurance companies to get paid for the work that he's been trained his whole life to do.
Sonny Hostin just walked straight into a $450 million fraud scandal. And the wild part? Her own husband's at the center of it. Before she could even fake surprise on The View, Joe Rogan and Bill Maher came swinging from two different shows, both landing hits on her reputation like it was open season. One broke it down with cold, hard facts. The other lit the whole situation on fire. No mercy, no filters, and definitely no tissues. So yeah, if Sonny's looking a little sweaty lately, now you know why. This meltdown, it's hotter than those mystery millions hiding offshore.
But life is random. The only word to describe it when a big game hunter gets trampled by an elephant and then eaten by lions is hilarious.
Sonny Hostin, daytime TV's self-appointed queen of moral high ground, just got a brutal reality check. And let's just say no amount of The View preaching could have prepped her for this. While she was out here lecturing the country on law, order, and virtue, her husband was allegedly playing real-life Monopoly with the financial system. Only this board came with a $450 million fraud scandal and a federal indictment as the prize. Turns out moral armor doesn't come fraud-proof.
The Sonny Hostin that we all love from one of my favorite shows on The View. And it's always, Tom, what'd you always say? It's always the people that always do the pointing, and it always comes back to them, all right? So when you said, this is the largest RICO case ever filed in the state of New York. You guys, wrap that around your brain. That's bigger than the Mafia case. Like, the Mafia one was number one. This one takes it over. So he was scamming insurance companies.
Yep, you heard that right. $450 million. That's not a typo, not some accounting slip-up. That's the kind of number that makes Wall Street blush and Ponzi schemes look like amateur hour. While Sonny was busy dishing out moral verdicts like they were Halloween candy, her husband might have been running his own masterclass, one that involved offshore accounts, shady billing tricks, and what looks like a full-blown phobia of IRS paperwork.
The View has to be if you average out The View hosts, among the dumbest people on television. And it's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly, so they expose whatever truth. But
I don't think some of them are dumb.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think Sonny Hostin's
You think it's deliberate?
I think she's ideologically driven, and they have blinders on, for sure. I don't think Sonny's dumb. But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out.
Enter Joe Rogan. And let's be real, this isn't the guy you call when you want polite conversation and chamomile tea. He's the guy who'll throw a conspiracy nut and a neuroscientist in the same room just to watch the chaos unfold. So when he caught wind of Sonny's scandal, he didn't just sit back and nod. He lit the whole credibility circus on fire and basically shipped her public image straight to Rose City, no return trip.
She is not implicated in the lawsuit at all, but it's just, I mean, you're married, Tom, you're married. If your husband's doing something, if he's allegedly doing something like this, you guys would know if your wives were up to some nefarious stuff. But let's just not forget who she is. She's been, for years, lecturing America about morality, inequality, systemic failures, and look at her track record. How many times has she had to go on in the past 2 months and look at the camera and do a legal apology for all the stuff that she said on the show? And then she also, on Trump's win, calling the loss because of uneducated white women that Trump won.
We have to know that. This is accused.
All accused. Yeah, all accused. But he's in the RICO. This is a big RICO case that her husband's in.
Joe came at this like it was an MMA match, straight into round one with the kind of irony you could cut with a samurai sword. I mean, a legal analyst living in a household allegedly built on next-level white-collar fraud? You couldn't even pitch that to Netflix without getting laughed out of the room for lazy writing. But it wasn't just the fraud charges that fired him up. It was the silence. The same show that usually goes full DEFCON 1 over a celebrity breakup suddenly went full monastery mode the second one of their own got caught in legal quicksand. The hypocrisy practically exposed itself. Joe was just pointing out how fast. The rules change when it's someone from the elite media bubble in trouble. If this had been a random tech bro, a conservative voice, or God forbid, someone in a MAGA hat, the coverage would have had sound effects, countdown clocks, probably a theme song. Instead, we got an awkward silence and a quick topic switch, like your buddy calling from jail and everyone just lets the phone ring. Joe launched into a full-on rant about how all these media virtue signalers love playing moral referee, right up until the whistle blows on their own crew. Then suddenly it's all about privacy and context. In classic Rogan style, he bulldozed through the nonsense and asked the real question. How are these legal experts so good at spotting crime everywhere except their own living rooms?
Well, I had a different question. But it struck me that in the first segment you used the term woke, and you said that woke is what was sort of ruining everything. And I know that you're
No, I didn't say ruining everything. I said that's why Trump could get reelected.
That's why Trump could get reelected. Yeah. So the term woke has been, in my view, co-opted by the right and weaponized and bastardized. And so I was surprised to hear you use the term, because historically, as you know, because I think you're quite brilliant, that woke is a word used by the black community to note that we must be aware of social injustices.
But words migrate.
While Joe came in swinging like a gladiator, all sarcasm and full-blown intensity, Bill Maher strolled into the ring like he owned the place, cocktail in hand, delivering jabs with surgical precision. His takedown wasn't loud, but man, it cut deep. No podcast studio, no sweaty mic, just a polished monologue and that signature smirk that said, "I've been waiting for this moment." He set the scene perfectly. Sonny Hostin, the poster child for moral high ground, suddenly facing a PR nightmare straight out of a Shakespeare play. Not because she got indicted, but because her whole public persona is built on being smarter, better, and holier than thou. So when the FBI shows up asking her husband where hundreds of millions disappeared to, it doesn't just kill the brunch vibe, it nukes the entire brand. And Maher, he broke it all down with the cool, tired precision of someone who's done this dance before. He didn't yell, he smirked. He didn't rage, he sighed. And in doing that, he showed this wasn't just a scandal, it was a clinic in what happens when self-righteousness finally catches up to reality.
Hey, Megan, I get it. I also hate Joy Behar. So I don't love you, but I also hate that squawking bird. So I hate the whole thing. And frankly, that show, you want to talk about a show that set women back, is The View. You want to talk about that show. If the CIA is engineering, Antifa in the Capitol riot, some crazy misogynist engineered The View, because there's nothing worse than The View. In terms of, like, there are so many brilliant women out there. None of them are on The View. None of them have gone near the set of The View. I mean, they have brought in the lowest tier of the, what is it, the Y chromosome?
No, double
The
X.
Okay.
Double X.
They brought in the lowest of the double X's for that one. It's rough.
Let's be real, if the exact same scandal involved a Republican senator's spouse, or literally anyone on the other side of Sonny's politics, she would have gone full inferno on The View. You know the drill: dramatic monologues, emotional, outrage, probably a few charts for good measure, but now, just silence, awkward glances, and most likely a memo from ABC PR that quietly says, "Under no circumstances mention your husband got indicted for masterminding a multi-million-dollar scam." Bill Maher soaked up the irony like it was aged wine. He didn't even have to raise his voice. The story screamed louder than he ever could. The face of moral commentary caught in a scandal so massive it deserves its own headline font. And here's where it gets wild. Rogan and Maher, two guys who normally exist in completely different galaxies, actually agreed for once. One's into sensory tanks, the other's busy mourning the death of Western culture. But when it came to Sonny and this scandal, they had the same exact reaction. Total disbelief served with a heavy dose of mockery. And the best part? Sonny didn't even have to say a word. Her silence was the punchline.
I want to talk about Whoopi Goldberg because I got so many texts this week because she attacked me the week before.
Sure.
So she was, everybody was like, "Oh, Bill, I get you're enjoying the karma." First of all, I'm going to talk about this at the end of my show next week, teaser. But there is no thing as karma, okay? Get over that. Whoopi. attacks me on a regular basis. She says stupid shit on a regular basis. They just happen to coincide. But
While she sat on national TV saying absolutely nothing about the criminal investigation brewing in her own house, Rogan and Maher stepped in and filled the silence. And they did it with heat, wit, and enough sarcasm to break the internet. Rogan called out the media as spineless. Maher went after their moral gymnastics. And together they put a spotlight on what happens when media elites get so used to preaching from their pedestals, they forget what being held accountable actually looks like. And The View? The same show that breaks down every headline like it's a classroom debate suddenly caught a serious case of selective memory. No mention, no segment, not even a half-hearted "this is tough but necessary," just dead air. It was like a bakery filling with smoke while everyone pretended it was just a burnt loaf. They managed to sidestep a $450 million fraud scandal with the kind of focus you'd expect from an Olympic athlete. Meanwhile, Rogan and Maher did what real commentators are supposed to do: tear through the hypocrisy, mock the double standards, and remind everyone that if you're gonna claim moral superiority, you'd better not be standing on a foundation stacked with federal indictments.
Very strange show, but it's fun to watch. It's just fun to watch them.
It's good entertainment.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
Well, they're just, it's interesting because I think Sunny is very intelligent, but she's ideologically captured.
Right.
That's what I think. The other ones, there's a couple of the other ones, don't have to name any names, who are just very dull-minded. But I think Sunny's not one of them. I think she's smart but captured.
Sure. I think she came into it with an agenda.
Of course. They do everything with an agenda.
Yeah.
Both of them came in swinging and delivered a brutal reality check to this idea that elite media figures get a free pass just because they know which wine glass goes where. And the wildest part, this wasn't some hit job. It played out like sharp observational comedy. No deep dives or conspiracies needed. The facts screamed, the optics screamed louder, and Sunny's silence, that said the most. Here's someone who built her whole brand on breaking down legal drama in plain English, and now that legal drama's showing up at her own front door in cuffs, she's got nothing to say. Rogan framed it as a warning about unchecked media egos. Maher painted it like a dark joke with a sad punchline, and somehow they both landed on the same truth. The moral pyramid's crumbling, and the folks at the top are out here acting like it's just a little shake. That's what this moment really is. Not just a host with a fraud-riddled spouse, not just two commentators roasting it to ashes, but the bigger picture falling apart in plain sight.
isn't it interesting that it's called, I don't think they meant this when Barbara Walters invented it a long time ago, but it's The View.
Well,
that's the problem in America. There is one view,
right, and
one
that's clearly
true opinion, and everybody else can go sit in the corner.
That's correct. I think that's not actually...
When the real scandal hit, the folks who usually yell the loudest suddenly went silent like they'd taken a vow of mime. And honestly, you don't need a smoking gun when the hypocrisy is flipping around like it's auditioning for Cirque du Soleil on live TV. You just need someone to call it out. This time, Joe and Bill gladly stepped up. If hypocrisy had frequent flyer miles, Sunny Hostin would be flying platinum. And if staying quiet was an Olympic event, she'd be standing on the podium, gold medal in hand, looking shocked. Over at The View, moral outrage is usually freshly brewed. Hot takes, strong opinions, all served with a smug little smile. But now, that kitchen's gone ice cold. The righteous rants about justice and ethics have been swapped out for a silence. So loud it could headline a retreat. Because the second one of their own gets tangled in a $450 million fraud mess, their transparency folds faster than a plastic chair at a backyard wrestling match. You can almost hear the producers sweating through their cozy pastels. Okay, ladies, let's dive into criminal justice reform, but maybe skip the part where someone's husband just got slapped with a federal indictment. Suddenly, the Daytime Justice Squad seems real allergic to, well, actual justice. And the way they're dodging this story might as well give them gold medals for gymnastics.
I saw you on The View.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's been overwhelming my past couple days. So I just went in there, did my thing. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know who Sunny Hostin was. I actually still really don't know. So I wasn't expecting necessarily for her to kind of try to ambush me in that way and attack my character in that way.
Well, it is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean,
Yeah.
it is a rabies-infested hen house.
Sunny Hostin, legal expert turned silent spectator, suddenly vanished the moment her legal expertise was actually needed. Kind of funny how that works, right? But here's the real twist. This whole selective memory routine isn't just a one-off slip. It's starting to look like the new normal. These days, accountability comes with conditions. Stay on the right side and your scandals magically vanish during a commercial break. Step out of line, every flaw gets blown up like it's under a ring light. What used to be about speaking truth to power has turned into speak truth, unless it messes with brunch. And that's exactly where Rogan and Maher step in. The last guys willing to say the quiet parts out loud. No sugarcoating, no safe takes, just calling it like it is while the rest of the media looks the other way. And let's be real, if your whole career is built on moral high ground, you better pray there aren't designer skeletons clinking around in your closet. Because right now, Sunny's situation doesn't just feel shady, it's giving full-blown luxury crime thriller, and her co-hosts are acting like it's just a breeze in the room. This isn't just one person's hypocrisy on blast, it's the whole fake setup crashing down and the curtains finally ripping wide open.
Well, their audience is not really their audience. Their audience is a group of people they bring in to watch television shows. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen audiences before for TV shows, but a lot of them are paid. They're paid to be there. So, because they have to guarantee that there's going to be people there. So there's services that you hire. And when a show gets really, really popular, you know, like Letterman or something like that, obviously it has its own fan base.
Right.
Those people will try to get tickets before anybody else does. And in that case, they probably don't need to use a service anymore. They just get actual fans. But arguably, like, the fans, the real fans of The View that are like, oh, these ladies are on point, most of those people can't leave the house. Like, they're probably immobile.
At this point, The View can't even fake being the moral compass. That thing's spinning out like a blender on max speed. And here's the kicker. When Joe Rogan and Bill Maher, two guys who probably couldn't even agree on breakfast, both look at your so-called high ground and laugh. Yeah, it might be time to swap the TED Talk for a game show. Call it Whose Husband Scammed $450 Million. Spoiler, we already know. Maybe next week The View will finally talk about accountability. Just not that kind. Maybe they'll bring on an ethics expert, preferably one whose spouse didn't allegedly turn healthcare billing into $1 billion freestyle session. Until then, shout out to Rogan and Maher for doing what legacy media won't. And if anyone spots Sunny, let her know her moral soapbox just got repossessed. Probably by the same folks freezing her husband's accounts. Because in a world where outrage is the loudest currency, the voices yelling the most usually end up broke, right around the time the FBI knocks.